Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your unfiltered fit BFF, mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify their fitness journey so they can lose weight, regain their confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Let's go. Hello there, fam. Welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. I am Nathalia Melo, your host, and I'm very excited to be here. And before we get started on today's topic, I want to say thank you. Thanks to every single one of you that have been aggressively sharing the episodes from the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast and tagging me on social, who have been giving me feedback either by written form on social, telling me about the episodes that you like, or leaving a review on either Apple Podcast or Spotify. So keep on doing it. That is your way of telling me that what I'm doing is helping you. And it really gives me that fire under my butt to keep on pumping out content that is helpful to you, that speaks to you, and that sometimes it is talking about conversations and topics that are uncomfortable, but that need to be addressed, which is kind of a little bit of the topic that I'm going to be talking about today. And for today's topic, I am going a little bit of a off-the-cuff strategy. I normally have notes, but I really wasn't sure if I wanted to do notes for this because this is a subject that I've been becoming very passionate about because of my personal experience with it and because I am a parent. I am a mom. And before I go into detail about why I am going to hold back on my kids having social media and even a smartphone for that matter for as long as possible, I want to prephrase everything that I'm going to say with stating that I don't think that social media is bad. I am incredibly grateful for what social media has done for me and how it has enabled me to speak to and become friends with a lot of people. You know, when you start being Instagram friends with somebody and then it really develops into you really feel like you know the person, and then next thing you know, you kind of meet the person in person and you're like your bestie. And a lot of the members in the Powerhouse Academy have come to us because of the power of social media and because they have resonated with the message that I'm putting out, and they have, whatever it is that I said, spoke with them and helped them see things from a different perspective. And especially for me, coming from a time that the only way for you, and I'm going to age myself, okay, with a lot of the things that I'm going to be saying, you're like, if you are like on your early 30s or like 20s, you're probably going to be listening to this like, Nathalia, like, how old are you? I'm 39. So there are a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about here that are going to age me, but I feel like my life experiences will allow me to speak from experience on both sides of the spectrum, before social media and or very early on social media to now. And speaking on my gratitude of social media, you know, whenever I first started in the fitness space, the only way for you to be noticed or respected or for your message to get out there was by getting on a magazine. And there are only so many pages in a magazine, and there were normally people that magazines liked to publish more than others, or you built better relationships with people from this one magazine, which obviously is gonna open more doors for you to be here. So there were a lot of hoops and there are a lot of gates to open in order for you to get your message out there. And with social media, that dynamic changed quite significantly because it gave people a platform and a space to speak their truth and to connect with those that liked and appreciated and respected their work in a more human level. Coming from being published in magazines where it always felt like I was talking at people, social media allowed me to talk with people, to have that two-way conversation, to learn more, to be like, so how are you doing? There are many of my followers and that have become friends, like I said in the beginning, and we chat sometimes on social, and I know about their lives, and I'm like, so like, is your husband doing better? How is your daughter? And I have never met this person, so there is a beautiful and powerful part and side of social media, and I will not negate that, and I'll not say that that's trash, because it's not. I'm incredibly grateful. I probably would have not built the business that I have built and helped the amount of women that I have helped without the power of social media. So now that we have established that this is not social media like bash fest, you'd be naive for us to sit here and talk about all the wonderful things regarding social media without talking about the toxicity that it can come with. And I'm going to elaborate on that and why I feel that this message needs to get out. As somebody who is 39 years old, I grew up at a time that if you had a fight and an argument with somebody in school and somebody was like, oh my God, your nose looks horrible, your ears are big and all that jazz, you'd have to deal with that in school. And then you'd go home and then you disconnect from that conversation. And then next day you'd come back to school and that's kind of when you'd pick up again. But there was an opportunity to take a break from the abuse. And people were a lot more mindful of what they said because they knew that they had to say whatever it is that they wanted to say to somebody's face. And with social media today, I feel like it's giving power to a lot of people to exercise what they believe is their First Amendment right without getting punched in the face. And listen, I am not for violence. I am not saying that people need to get punched in the face. What I'm saying is that people have become desensitized to the impact that their words might have in somebody else because you don't really know what that person is going through. The reason I say this is because a lot of the content that I have been putting out more recently, I have never seen so much comfort in being a monumental fucking dickhead from people that have never met me. And this is happening at a season in my life where I am 39 years old. My personality has been developed, although I think that your personality is always evolving, but the core of who you are has already been established. I'm already at an age where I'm very comfortable and confident with who I am. I know what is not like perfect in me, which is like a lot of it, if not all of it, very imperfect, but I'm not blind. You know what I'm saying? Like from a physical standpoint, people are like, oh my God, your forehead. And I'm like, no shit. I've been living with it for 39 years. Do y'all think that I have never seen? Like, really? So this is happening with me in a season of my life that I'm already like, whatever, eat a bag of dicks. I don't care. My problem with this comfort that most people have on social media to say things that they would not have the balls to say in person is that we have a much younger generation that is letting their personality be shaped by a constant opinion and, shall I even say, attack from strangers who feel entitled to have an opinion about how you look, how you think, what you do with your life. Like, and they think that it is okay to come into your space and word vomit whatever it is that is going in their mind, and that they are going to be able to like, and that they can just walk away. with no consequences, which that's the problem. They are able to walk away with no consequences. And I'm looking and I'm like, would you say that in person? Would you say all this bullshit that you had the bravery of typing, hiding behind a screen? Would you have the balls to come up to somebody's face and say that? Because I can tell you hand in heart, everything that you see on social media, I would tell to anybody's face. And I believe that that is a big problem. The big problem is that we are having a whole generation of people that are being shaped by other people's opinion. And because they are being shaped by other people's opinions, who they don't even know, they feel entitled to go into somebody else's space and give their opinion too. And it just becomes this vicious cycle. And like I said, at 39 years old, am I really going to lose sleep if somebody thinks that like my two nostrils are not the same size? I do not give a fuck. And true story, somebody commented, "Oh my God, your nose holes, your nostrils are not the same size." And I'm like, oh shit, like what the fuck you looking at my nose holes for? But the question that I cannot stop asking is, how are these teenagers gonna be able to find out who they are and what they like and what they don't like and what is truly important to them and what is not important to them if they're constantly having to fit an unrealistic mode that constantly changes? And the reason I say this is because you can have one opinion and you can have one photo. Like, let's look at a photo that is more objective. You can have one photo and somebody's going to say in that, come to that photo and be like, "Oh my God, you look like a bag of bones." And then you're going to have somebody else that it comes and be like, "Oh my God, you need to lose 20 pounds. How is it that a young woman, a young girl who is still shaping who she is, who is becoming or trying to learn how to become confident in the body that is changing and how he looks, because it's changing every day during puberty? How is it that that girl is going to be able to learn who she is when she's constantly being told from all angles what she is and what she is and what she should be and what people would like her to be and all of that? How are you going to know who you are with all this noise around you? And the problem is not just the noise, it's the constants of the noise, because people are just becoming more and more attached to that instant communication at all times. So it's not even that she's being bombarded, he or she. I talk more about women because I can identify with that. And I feel a lot of times from what I see that there is a lot more vitriol and a lot more expectations from an appearance standpoint from women and young girls than there are from men. There is for men and boys. I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I have seen and I have experienced. How is it that that young girl is going to be able to shape herself, shape who she is, if she cannot disconnect from a constant information overload of what she's expected to do, not do, look like, not look like? And even more when those expectations that they are being shouted that they need to fit are not even real, because what they're being compared to is something that is behind a filter. So they're trying to match an expectation that is already literally not real. And you have different expectations coming from all angles. How is anybody going to come out of an environment like this sane, confident in themselves, in their decisions? So the other day, I posted a reel about OnlyFans. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a prude. I do not give a shit what people do with their vajayjay and with their titties. They want to get paid for people to look at them. By all means, do it. Go for it. You do you, boo. What I do have a problem with, however, is how normalized it is becoming within social media and how desensitized young people are becoming to over sexualization. And again, this is coming from somebody who grew up in Brazil. Okay. And sometimes I look at things, what family shows were like in Brazil when I was growing up, and what some of the music said. And I want to shake my mom and be like, what were you thinking? Excuse me, ma'am. Um, why? One, what the fuck? And how was that okay? So I want to rephrase with saying this. I grew up in a culture that was hypersexualized, that, having titties and the JJ everywhere was not abnormal, including in a Sunday family show that happened from like 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. every single Sunday. So I feel like I do have some level of experience with growing up in an environment like that. But the thing is that if you try to speak about something like this now, like I did the reel, it was like I was the Antichrist. Oh my God. What was it that somebody said? Hold on, I'm going to try to remember. But basically saying that I was slut shaming. Imagine, and here's my point. Because the same way that I am entitled to my opinion, other people are entitled to their opinion. Perfectly okay with that. My problem, however, is imagine going to someone's house, which that's basically what I believe. For example, Instagram profile is and Facebook profile is, and being like, oh my God, you're trash because you're slut shaming women and you're a disgrace to women. Imagine walking into someone's house and word vomiting because that person's opinion does not align with yours. Imagine if I went out of my way to OnlyFans Ho and I was like, oh my God, you are trash because your butthole is showing all over the internet. I wouldn't go out of my way to go to someone's face and be like, yo, you look like a hoe. I wouldn't. But if I'm in my house and somebody comes and tells me their opinion about that, I am going to say, hey, listen, I don't agree. And here's why. So there is a freedom to give your opinion when going to other people's space that I see a younger generation becoming very comfortable with, and a desensitization to how overly sexualized social media is becoming. And if you try to talk about it, you're a prude. But I have, like, listen, I have done photos that I look back actually immediately after I took them, and they were not even that bad. In today's context of today, they would be shown in church. They weren't that bad. But I didn't feel comfortable doing them. Okay. And I told the person who I was doing the photos for, the company that I was doing the photos for, that I wasn't going to do it again because I wasn't comfortable with it and it wasn't my jam. Are girls today going to feel comfortable and confident speaking up and saying that they don't feel comfortable with certain things when we are normalizing the over sexualization and the freedom to say inappropriate things without consequences that you probably wouldn't walk away without at least a bitch slap for saying to somebody's face in person? And this is my personal opinion and why I am going to keep social media from my kids for as long as possible, because I am experiencing, and I see it every single day, how vile and how aggressive people are becoming with the things that they are saying without analyzing what the consequences of the things that they say are. And you can educate your children all you want. I can sit here and educate my children all you want, because even as a 39-year-old grown-ass woman, there's some comments that I see sometimes and I'm like, holy shit, like it takes me back. Like it takes me a moment to step back and be like, holy fuck, like how do you even say something so vile like this? I move on. Again, maturity. But a lot of the people who are experiencing the same level of vitriol do not have the maturity to read something like this and be like, fuck them. They'll marinate on that. They'll let that comment define them. They will let other people's opinions on what they should and shouldn't look like define what they do with their own bodies. They will let the likes and shares and vagina shots on social media because he gets more likes and comments define what they are willing to show more and more and more of. And again, I'm not a prude. I don't have any problem with bikini photos or anything like that, but there is a difference between a beach picture or a classy, tasteful modeling picture to a thong, butt in the air, butthole shot. I don't care what anybody says. There is a difference. And try to put both in the same category is ludicrous. And the normalization of the extra and more skin, more like trashier, more sexier and more and more and more. And there always needs to be more. At some point, that is going to have to, like, what is next? What else is there to take off? And that's my concern when it comes to social media to younger generation, like, for example, my kids who are 6 and 7. And I know that as a parent, it is easier said than done to, oh, my kids are not going to be on social media. Because there were a lot of things that I said before I had kids. My kids, they're going to eat whatever I put in front of them. And if they don't eat them, they don't eat whatever it is that I cooked, then screw them. Go to starve. Well, that hasn't played out very well. But you better believe that I'm going to fight tooth and nail to keep them away from it for as long as possible. And if there are any parents out there that don't really know what it is like to be on the receiving end of comments from people that really don't give a shit, it's like they don't have anything to lose. As a parent and as a person, I have. And like I said several times before, I have the maturity to navigate those comments. And even if they are like absolutely disgusting, they might take me back at first and I'll be like, whatever, screw it. And I just roast them on Instagram. But if it was Nathalia, 18-year-old Nathalia, 17-year-old Nathalia, 15-year-old Nathalia, there is absolutely no way that I would be responding to the things that I'm seeing on social media the same way that I respond now as a 39-year-old woman. And I will do whatever I can to make sure that my kids do not get to have their personality, their likes and dislikes shaped by a whole bunch of people that keep on moving the goalpost and think that, commenting on somebody's pictures is like build a bitch. Oh my God, you need a little bit more boobs. You need more ass. Like, no, this ain't build a bitch. So I don't really know what the solution to this is, but I just wanted to share this experience that I have as a parent and as somebody who is on social media. I would like to share this with other parents or other people who might be thinking about having a social media platform created for their kids. I would encourage you to listen to this podcast a few times and listen, if you want to message me, please do. I'd love to have a discussion. And even if you have a different take from me, from being on social media, I'd love to discuss. We might even do an episode here on the podcast talking about it and discussing and elaborating on that. I'm not saying that everything that I said is absolute truth. I'm sharing what my experience is, and maybe I'm not looking at things from the same perspective as other people. So I'm more than open to discussing this. And if you have anything to add or anything to challenge me on, please feel free to send me a message on Instagram. And I would love to discuss and have this conversation further, because this is a topic that I'm becoming very, very passionate about, especially as I start to see more and more how comfortable people are becoming to say things that they would never have the balls to say in people's face. And I find that incredibly problematic. Anyway, guys, this is it for today. Sorry for some of the rumbling. I was trying to gather my thoughts, and like I said in the beginning, I flew a bit off the cuff with today's episode. So I'm sure that there was a little bit of rambling and kind of going back and forth. But I really wanted this to be as honest and as from the heart as possible, because I do know that I have a lot of listeners who are parents. So if I could share a little bit of my insights and my experiences, and that might add value to you, then this podcast has done its job. And if you want to challenge me, please send me a message on Instagram. If you have any feedback about this podcast episode, send me a message on Instagram. My link is on the show notes. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. Adios. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment or voice message at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on Instagram and let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. As for today, this is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.